Coming up at 11, nearly 2 years late and $75 million over budget. What is happening with the new Bronx courthouse? CBS 2's Marcia Kramer gets answers and finds out what the city could have bought with all that money instead. Join us tonight for CBS 2 News at 11 o'clock.
That's CBS 2 News at 6. For John, Sam, and the entire CBS 2 News team, we thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jim Rosenfield.
I'm Dana Tyler. Next on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. More on the House of Representatives' approval of a non-binding measure opposing troop increase in Iraq. Have a good night.
We'll see you again at 11.
I'm Katie Couric. Tonight, a rebuke from Congress to President Bush.
A motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
The Democratic-controlled House goes on record against his troop buildup, but how far will it go to try to stop it? Also tonight, for sale. As the housing slump deepens, sellers are forced to get creative to unload their homes. JetBlue customers seeing red. Could their nightmare this week lead Congress to finally pass a passenger's Bill of Rights? And some of the biggest sacrifices of the Iraq War are carried on the smallest of shoulders.
It's nice knowing that some other people's dads are over there, so you're not like the only one.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hello, everyone. The words were simple and clear. After 4 days of debate, the House passed a resolution today that says it disapproves of the decision of President George W. Bush to deploy more than 20,000 additional U.S. combat troops to Iraq. The vote was 246 to 182. 17 Republicans crossed party lines, joining the majority Democrats in opposing the troop buildup. 2 Democrats voted against the resolution. The vote was symbolic, but it's just the beginning of a campaign by congressional opponents of the war to try to stop it. Cheryl Atkinson is on Capitol Hill tonight. Cheryl, we expected the vote to go the way it did, so was there really much drama there today?
A little bit, Katie. The repudiation of the commander-in-chief's war plan was largely a party line vote after a party line debate.
This surge in the troops is the wrong policy at the wrong time in the wrong war.
What we're doing with this resolution is not a salute to G.I. Joe. It's a capitulation to Jihadist Joe.
As the 45 hours of debate drew to a close, Republicans chose as their final speaker Sam Johnson, a former Vietnam POW. As a living reminder of their central theme, support the troops. Democrats insist they do. In fact, that's the first sentence of the resolution. The second sentence is the tough one, a clear rejection of the president's troop surge.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No.
Today's vote is just step one in the Democrats' action plan to force a change in course.
This resolution today sets the stage for that new direction, one in which we will focus on other than military initiatives.
As CBS News first reported last night, those initiatives could include a plan from Congressman John Murtha not to cut off funds, but to place so many conditions on sending troops to Iraq that Mr. Bush's hands would be tied. Late today, the House's top Republican seemed to relish a debate over that.
Let's get out of the shadow boxing. Let's get away from the non-binding resolution. Let's get away from the slow bleed. Let's just have the real debate that the American people want us to have and bring it to an end.
Tomorrow, the Senate has scheduled a rare Saturday session to force Republicans to vote not on the House resolution, but on whether to debate it. But, Katie, it's all just for show because Democrats know they don't have the votes.
Cheryl Atkinson on Capitol Hill tonight. Jim Axelrod is our chief White House correspondent. Jim, no surprise there tonight. The president has known for weeks that this was coming, but how is the White House reacting?
Well, they swear, Katie, that the president doesn't care about an ideological surge. He just wants to protect funding for the troops. Look, the president is dug in on this, and the surge is actually already underway. So what's going to settle all this, it would seem, is what happens on the streets of Baghdad.
And, Jim, what are they going to do there to keep Congress from cutting off funding or setting restrictions?
Well, they're going to try to reframe the debate on the Hill so that every time a Democrat says this debate is about bringing the troops home, the White House can say, no, it's about supporting the troops. Supporting them means funding them. Again, Katie, all that matters to the people here is that the president's new way forward in Iraq remains fully funded.
All right, Jim Axelrod. Jim, thank you. From the White House now to your house. If you're trying to sell it, you know it is not easy. The housing market is in a slump. Just today, the government reported that builders were putting up new homes last month at the slowest pace in nearly 10 years. And with demand for homes down, prices are falling as well. Here's Anthony Mason.
Architect Wasim Salman bought this Atlanta house as an investment. Trying to ride the housing boom, he fixed it up to make a quick profit. But it's a year and a half later.
And it's not going anywhere. And it's really been frustrating.
Salman has been caught in the housing correction.
The market is getting tougher and tougher. I think the market is flooded with homes.
And prices continue to fall. Across the country, the median home price is now $219,000, down 2.7% from a year ago. Among the worst hit regions, the Sarasota area of Florida, Springfield, Illinois, Reno, Nevada, and San Diego, California.
Construction has slowed dramatically, too. The number of houses that builders started in January dropped by more than a third over a year ago. That's the biggest decline in more than 15 years.
Builders have anticipated a slowdown in demand. They've anticipated a decline in prices, and they're correcting for that.
Wasim Salman is also adjusting. With 2 investment properties stuck on the market, he's changed realtors.
Then you've got some great natural light coming in.
And dropped the asking prices so low, he's ready to take a loss.
This is just a giveaway. Whoever is getting those homes, they're getting the deal.
So how long will the housing slump last? With interest rates still low, economists say we should start to pull out of this year, but we may not have hit bottom yet. Katie?
More bad news for sellers. Anthony, thanks. So what are home sellers doing in the meantime to attract buyers who are holding the cards? Kelly Kobiea has that part of the story from one of the hardest hit states,
no matter what you do,
Florida.
This has got to be the selling point, right?
Yeah, this is why I bought the apartment in the first place.
A year or two ago, this view alone would have sold Etienne Kuzmaric's condominium in a Miami minute. Now it takes a little more work.
Let's now have a look at the beautiful bathroom.
It's beautiful.
And a lot more time.
How long have you had it on the market?
For about 5 months now.
Like so many sellers in Florida, Kuzmaric learned the key to a buyer's heart today is value. He dropped his asking price by $50,000, and when he offered to pay the first year's maintenance fees, a $12,000 incentive, the phones really started ringing.
And, the market has changed, and we have to adapt to it.
We've got construction all over the place.
Yeah, it's exciting times.
If you're lucky enough to be a buyer in this market, realtor Paul Sasseville's advice: buy to live in the home, not to make a quick profit from it.
Right now, our buyers are all looking at 18 months to 2-year minimum, and they'll do terrific if they can hold tight.
The construction that you see all around me was planned when prices were still high. Now that those prices are coming down, the future of Florida's housing market is a little more cloudy. Kelly Kobiea, CBS News, Miami.
From sunny Florida to snowy Pennsylvania, the governor apologized today for the slow response to the storm, which left thousands stranded as long as 24 hours on what became the world's longest parking lot, Interstate 78. Many had to be rescued by the National Guard. The last few cars and trucks were removed today, but the highway is still a sheet of ice and parts of it still closed. And JetBlue Airways was still canceling flights today after leaving hundreds of passengers stranded on planes earlier this week. Bob Ward tells us that's prompting new calls for congressional action.
The blizzard blew through in hours, but the misery goes on. For the third straight day, JetBlue canceled scores of flights at New York's Kennedy Airport, where some stranded passengers feel more like prisoners.
I'm tired. I want to go home. Dead.
Now, JetBlue's ice storm meltdown is fueling new calls for a passenger's Bill of Rights, a law to actually outlaw what happened Wednesday. Hundreds of passengers trapped for up to 10 hours on 9 jets, caught in an icy gridlock between the JFK terminal and runways.
It's 2:20 in the morning, and we're still on this
Please.
The airline is offering apologies, free tickets, and refunds for not getting passengers off the plane sooner.
As soon as the dust settles here, we're going to have a plan and to make sure that this never happens again.
But Kate Hanai won't trust airline promises. She was stranded for 8 hours on an American Airlines jet in Texas over New Year's. Now she's leading the passengers' revolt.
It's not right, and it was inhuman what happened to us, and the only way we seem to be able to prevent it is by having a law passed.
A Bill of Rights ensuring that passengers are held no longer than 3 hours on a grounded flight, notified of delays within 10 minutes, and guaranteed food, water, sanitary facilities, and medical attention during long waits on the tarmac. Still, skeptics say it's up to the airlines to police themselves.
You really can't legislate customer service. Airlines have to believe that they can't treat their passengers like cattle.
We've got much more CBS News ahead. Coming up next, they're children of American heroes displaying their own courage back home while mom or dad is serving overseas. And later, Steve Hartman's Assignment America, a very special woman giving a very special gift to her daughters. CBS News in focus, the home front. As Americans in uniform fight overseas, their families need the courage to carry on without them. 163,000 U.S. servicemen and women are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. And according to the Pentagon, these American heroes have at least that many children back in the States. Jerry Bowen tonight with their story.
By all appearances, Chloe Clark Elementary School is typical until you take a closer look.
How many of us are from military families? Please raise
Half the 300 students here come from Army families.
My mom might be going to Iraq in April.
Which means, young as they are, these kids have a stake in the war.
My dad went the second of this month.
And Counselor Coley Fannon's job is to help them learn how to cope. He holds weekly group sessions.
It's nice knowing that some other people's dads are over there, so you're not like the only one. I won't be able to see him for a year, but...
Richie O'Leary's dad is over there, too. Richie says he can tell when another student is upset.
Like, they're talking kind of shaky or something, so that they're sad.
The counseling program started here nearly 4 years ago, just after the U.S. invasion of Iraq. As parents went off to war, sometimes both parents, serious behavior problems started here. Falling grades, acting out.
We really were in crisis mode.
Principal Gary Yoho.
Thoughts of mom and dad being gone were always on their minds.
For 7-year-old Ty Murphy, they still are.
What do you think about?
Just him being gone pretty much makes me sad.
Warrant Officer Andrew Murphy is on his second tour in Iraq. Ty clings to the special dog tags his dad left behind.
They just say be strong and courageous. The Lord your God will never leave you.
Chloe Clark School is next door to Fort Lewis, home to the 4th Stryker Brigade, heading to Iraq in April. The 3rd is already there. That includes Major Jim Gaylord, about to head back after a very brief home leave.
I know he's going to be back, and I know that he's going to be here for my next birthday.
The behavior problems are largely gone now. The kids have learned to cope. For nearly half their lives, this war has been part of their reality.
Maybe it says something about humans in general. I don't know that we can stay on high alert forever.
My dad is out southeast of Baghdad.
So they learn to cope, but that doesn't mean 10-year-old Trey Nesbitt likes it.
All the pictures that you're going to be taking while your dad's gone, or your loved one's gone, there's going to be something missing, and that's going to be that person.
On closer look, Chloe Clark is not typical at all. And there's one more thing that makes it special. So far, every single parent who's gone to war from here has come home, alive. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, DuPont, Washington.
And starting Monday, CBS News in Focus looks at the challenges facing baby boomers caring for their children and their elderly parents at the same time, the problems and some solutions in a special series, The Caregivers. And still ahead tonight, Assignment America, a mother who's given a very special gift to hundreds of families, now trying to do the same for her own.
A young woman who liked to gamble. She disappeared from this casino with this man. Where is she? And who is he? The Biggest Gamble. Saturday.
In tonight's CBS News briefing, President Bush got some medical treatment today. A dermatologist removed 2 moles from his left temple. The president's doctors believe tests will show they are not cancerous. Mr. Bush, who is 60 years old, has had a number of skin growths removed in the past, none of them cancerous. Could it be 2 of America's big 3 car companies, competitors for more than 80 years, joining forces? A trade publication, the Automotive News, is reporting tonight that General Motors is in talks to buy the Chrysler division of Daimler Chrysler. Neither company will confirm the story, and industry analysts believe a GM-Chrysler merger is a long shot. And investigators believe they now know who was behind the bizarre death of a pizza delivery man in Erie, Pennsylvania, 3.5 years ago. Before he died, Brian Wells told police someone had forced him to rob a bank with a bomb attached to his neck. He was killed when it exploded as he sat handcuffed while police waited for the bomb squad. Tonight, officials are not naming any suspects, saying only that indictments are expected by next month. Coming up next, a poignant Assignment America. And as we near the end of the week, a reminder of the big story that was a big headache for so many over the past few days, that wicked blast of winter weather.
The roads are terrible. There's a lot of black ice and a lot of treacherous driving.
And there really was nothing that we could do. We were just kind of stuck there. Couldn't go forward, couldn't go backwards, couldn't go anywhere.
And how long have you been in line?
What year is this? Almost lost my yardstick.
We cannot fight the weather. Can't fight the weather.
It's a part of Iraq where Americans are celebrated as liberators. Yeah! And business is booming. How did it happen? 60 Minutes Sunday.
If you had one last gift to give your children, what would it be? If you said love, you'd be thinking very much like Diane Sadovnikov. Steve Hartman has her story in tonight's Assignment America.
By at least 2 accounts, 48-year-old Diane Sadovnikov is the best mom in the world. My sources? 9-year-old Christina Sadovnikov and her 6-year-old sister, Rebecca.
Well, she's very forgiving. She doesn't make us make our beds. Well, sometimes she does. Yeah, but not all the time.
And that's not even the half of it. As director of the Sense Resource Center, Diane has facilitated adoptions for more than 300 Ukrainian orphans, matching them all with loving American families.
Healthy little baby.
Co-workers say she has a great eye for finding good adoptive parents. It's a talent she will now call on one last time for one final adoption, her own 2 children.
It's hard, but I want them taken care of as well as I can possibly arrange for it.
She had cancer. Yeah.
Their mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer last March and has been in and out of the hospital ever since.
For Thanksgiving, she didn't come home. And Christmas, she didn't come home, and Easter.
Diane's oncologist, Dr. George Kemp.
Advanced cancer of the cervix has a poor prognosis.
The mortality rate is 90%, a statistic most patients simply ignore.
Are you eating better?
Yeah.
But not this one.
She has come to accept things in a way that's quite unusual.
Come on, girls.
Diane is a single mom. She has a few relatives, but she says they're all either too old or too far away to be a really good match. And she wasn't about to start compromising on her adoptions now.
Yeah, she's something else.
So, after just a few months searching, Diane found the qualities she was looking for in a family friend who said yes.
The only reason I'm able to do it is because, for me, that's part of showing them love, is taking care of them whether I'm here or not.
Not to say Diane is giving up. Not to say anyone here is giving up.
I get up in the morning because they're there.
I would like her as a mom for my whole life.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay, that's unanimous. All right. Diane's doctor says if she can just make it 5 years, she'll probably beat this. So here's hoping for 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Sweet, good-looking kids, huh?
adorable kids, and what a wonderful woman, a wonderful mom.
And hopefully the story won't even matter. She'll live right through it and forget all about it.
I hope so.
I hope so, too.
So tell us about next week.
Okay, next week. We have 3 choices, as always. First, New York City's yellow cabs are about to lose their most recognizable feature, the yellow. The new look? Floral. I could find out why. Well, here's an idea sent in by John Drummond of Marietta, Georgia, about a husband and wife who took their obsession for the unicycle and turned it into a thriving business. How do they balance it all? Finally, another viewer idea. Quinn Ryder of East Falls, Pennsylvania, suggested a story about the Pennsylvania polka champion. As you may have guessed, she isn't the least bit Polish. How did she become the belle of the polka world? So what story do you want for next week? To vote, go to cbsnews.com and click on Assignment America. After you vote, there's a place on our page for you to suggest a story. Last week, we received over 400 viewer suggestions. And as you've just seen, if we use your idea, you get credit for the tip.
Tonight's Assignment America segment is sponsored by ExxonMobil, taking on the world's toughest energy challenges.
Next week on the CBS Evening News, the challenges facing baby boomers caring for elderly parents and some innovative solutions in a special series, The Caregivers. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks so much for watching. Have a safe holiday weekend. Good night.
Millions are caught in this squeeze, caring for college-age kids and elderly parents. Can it be done? Some solutions in The Caregivers, Monday on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.